What's up, players? We're out here at the backyard test track. We are going to be doing some dropout testing today. Forbidden sent me pretty much all the dropout options for the Dreadnought, and I've got a sick ripping little corner track in the backyard. It's about 45 seconds long. Gonna at least work through the 27.5 dropout option. Right now I'm in the stock setting, which I've been running on this bike for quite a while. I just did a warm-up lap. I'm gonna rip 2 more. And then I'll try and get 2 laps on each dropout option and tell you what I think. Yeah, I'll ride it on some more extensive trails and different options, but this backyard corner track is pretty good to shake it down. That rut is sick. And there's multiple different line options. Drifted across there. And one last little rut. That's a hectic track. It's like 0 to 100 pretty quick. Well, that felt pretty standard. Gonna take some alternate lines on this lap. You can pretty much ride almost 2 different tracks depending on what lines you end up taking, like that inside, and then hitting these ruts carves those so smooth. Whew. It is loose. Tried to just cut it a little too inside, caught the edge of that rut. You see here, it was, I like had the grip to go ultra inside, but then I caught the edge. So I had to respect the line a little more. And yeah, conditions are loose, so I think it's actually gonna be pretty good for this test. We'll chalk that one up to rider error. Hit the rut, drift off that. Some scary compressions in there. It actually hits that so good. It's a pretty short rut too. And then clean the inside of that into that catch. All right, throw her in the stand, get these dropouts changed. This will be my first time, so might kind of bumble my way through this job, but that's kind of par for the course for my mechanical aptitude. But hopefully it isn't too involved. It can't be, right? It can't be. But we got some T-type shit to deal with. We'll probably have to set up that again. So let's see how it goes. All right, put the whip in hatchback mode. Put -10 on the dropouts. That wasn't too painful. Pretty straightforward. You could definitely do it like at a shuttle day without too much hassle. Probably took me like 10 minutes. But yeah, we got a 450 rear end on this thing now. So that's the short mode in Forbidden World. Still longer than 95% of bikes out there. But yeah, let's see what that does on track. A little easier to get up on the rear wheel. Oh yeah, different sensation for sure. Okay, okay. All right. Dropping in. Oh, cut tighter out of that one. Wasn't sure if that's a chainstay thing or not. Fuck yeah. Well, you can tell it's a little shorter. Yeah, I think that, I mean, it's kind of what you would expect. Livened the bike up quite a bit. While still maintaining like fairly similar personality, all things considered, but I mean, we'll take another lap. But honestly, I could see that being a quite usable option for a lot of people that are looking at this bike. All right, lap 2 on the short ball. Oh my God. Interesting. So what I'm feeling is the bike's definitely more flickable, but in the off-camber sections, which there's a handful on that track, I do feel like the front end is less planted and it's a bit harder to trust the traction. And like, that's essentially what we're doing here. It's like, you can think about it, it is a chainstay adjustment, but what it is effectively doing is moving your weight bias on the bike. Shortening the chainstay moves the bias a little more rearward, and obviously you get a shorter rear end, shorter wheelbase. So yeah, the bike's easy to maneuver in a sense. I feel like I'm getting sharper responses out of it, and it's like easier to I guess initiate a turn or get a quick reaction out of the bike. But a lot of the corners on that track falter out. There's like no support at the ends of them, and I felt more uncertainty and less like authority over the front wheel when I got to that point in the corner. Again, the bike was ultimately, I was able to move it around quicker with a little less effort maybe, but that was interesting. I'm gonna do one more lap just to solidify that feeling before I change to the long mode, and I think that'll be interesting, going, you know, 20 mils longer to the plus 10 dropout. And I think the contrast there will be, yeah, even bigger than it has been on these laps. All right, one more. Another one, actually. Oh my God. Ah. Oh. Decent lap, kind of just backed up the feelings on the last one. Still some uncertainty in those loose off cambers on the exits of the corners and the entrances in some spots, but like if I were to make a change to solve that, it would be to lower my bars. And again, from a weight bias perspective, you know, we move the weight bias rearward by shortening the stay. So lowering the bars would be an effort to counteract that with a more forward weight bias and allow me to get more weight on the front wheel. But for the sake of time and energy, I'm just going to do all these with my bars in the same spot. Honestly, I've done this long enough to know that lowering my bars would help solve for the feeling I'm struggling with. But like in the context of the whole bike setup, it's like I think I can get, you know, leave my bars in the same spot, keep them high, which I like, and run the longer chainstay. Let's get this thing on the stand and huck the long boys on there. Well, the rig has been christened with the long boy chainstay. This is a big moment for me as a long chainstay enjoyer. These are by far the longest stays I've ever had on a bike. This is going to be putting them at 470. They even look long just staring at it. Yeah, I've ridden 460 on this and 460 on the Banshee Titan. I think 460 on the gas, but never have I gotten to 470. And this is rearward, so it's even longer at sag. Gonna hop around in the driveway. Oh, that actually wasn't too bad. You don't want to mess around though. Yeah, I could feel it like pushing my front end down. Took a look. All right, yeah. The bike's reacting slower. Woo! But you just wait, but you just shift your weight a little bit further forward, and on loose corners like that, the rear end just steps out. But you never really feel like when the stay's that long that it's gonna get away from you. It's really hard to overdo it. Like once it's sliding, the bike is gonna kind of be comfortable there and kind of right itself out. All right, let's see what these long johns are about. I think that corner's just getting blown out. Oh. Ha. Oh, ran a little wide on that, but whew. That's fucking sick. Well, they feel longer. Yeah, and that long flat left-hander after the hump up top, it just felt like I had way better feel on the front. And then it just felt like I was able to get the bike turned, but things were like happening slower, even though I felt like I was going just as fast. That was fun. See, I don't know. Goes back to the question of fun. Usually like fun is related to a short chainstay thing, but I don't know. I'm kind of like, they're not perfect for every situation, but I have so much fun with long chainstays just because it allows you to do things that are really hard without them. And I guess the same can be said for the short ones, but the things I enjoy to do on a bike are more in the category of the long stay gang. Shouldn't be a huge surprise. All right, lap 2. Oh. Nice. Able to stay high there. Oh, unweighted over that rise. Oh, oh, that was crazy. Oh my God. Dude, this set of corners is really fun, so sick. Kind of hard to get right. I've gotten it good a few times where like I'm able to crest this hump and initiate my drift here, slide, and kind of hop inside. But this is so loose. I kind of just come a little bit further inboard, flick, and then dive in. That one almost worked. Who knows, maybe if I had the shorter stays, I really would have lost it, but it kind of hooked. And then this is like a really kind of scary off camber bench cut right there. And definitely with the longer setup, I just feel less apprehensive there just because there's more feel with the front tire. You don't want to be pushing in super hard, but you want to be confident with where your front wheel is. Like there, I don't know if it's any faster, but it just feels a bit safer. I'm gonna do another lap. That was fun. Oh, cleans that rut. Yeah, it's like the short one didn't feel dicey compared to this. It feels like the whole bike just has a bit of a safety blanket over it. I feel like I need to be like less precise with my body position. The bike isn't responding as sharply, but I don't know. I feel like I'm still able to initiate the maneuvers I want to do. It just does them a little bit slower, but in my opinion, more predictably. All right, another lap, just to solidify the feeling and have some fun, because this track is sick. Oh, stayed the high line. Stayed high there too. Inside this. Oh. Oh. Oh, didn't get my nose in that rut. But up until that was the best lap all day. I tried to like hop up on the rear wheel and the 470 stay was like, nope. Set it down, and then my entrance to this got a little wonky. But yeah, you guys probably were able to pick up on that, but I hit pretty much that whole run. Hit my lines as clean as I have in this whole session. I feel like I could get them pretty much as good on any of the other setups. It just felt pretty easy to do so on this. That one, I definitely like upped the intensity and kind of trusted the front wheel grip, and it just held. And I was able to feel confident and planted in those off camber sections where the trail's kind of falling away and you want to stay high. And I was able to like, my tires were definitely on the best line that I've picked in this whole session. So I will say I'm not surprised that the longest stays made me the most happy on that trail, and it does also have something to do with the trail. So I've found that in corners like this that are pretty wide open and don't have a lot of hiccups, like bump wise in them, like it's almost the longer you go the better, because if you need to tighten up the corner, you can just slide the rear end around. And this bike with this setup did that beautifully in those last two corners, which are really tight, but I was able to consistently drift that setup into the right hander and then just dive into the right in the rear end. Just drifted around that too. But if your terrain is more junky and there's like a lot of steps in your corners and ultimately is like slower speed and more technical, where you really have a tougher time drifting the bike, that's when I feel like the longer stays can contribute to feeling like a bit more stuck in the bike. And ultimately, the longer stays require you to make bigger inputs into the bike. So if you're not like confident enough to do that, or you're not assertive enough with your riding, and you aren't willing to get the bike to slide, again, that's where I feel like they can not work for some riders. And maybe there's a healthy middle ground where you get the front end planted, but the bike is a little bit more responsive in that manner. So I'm trying to be transparent with my biases here and kind of explain the situation. But with my skill set, riding style, body proportions on a trail like that, long stay gang all the way. Because I'm able to initiate the drifts, they give me confidence, and I'm just able to chop the bike around and hold speed while sliding. Like, this setup gives me the best opportunity and the best setup to hold speed while drifting, which is my favorite thing to do on the bike. And on trails like that, it allows you to put them together in ways that I think are superior than the short stay thing. You can do the same thing on short stays. It just happens in a much tighter window and is much more punishing. This, for me, makes it's a setup that I can do all that, honestly, quite easily and quite intuitively. And that's kind of what I'm after with my riding. So I think that track was a relevant test, but obviously it's not like the best representation of a bunch of varied terrain. So I'll try and get this bike on more trails with more variety, some longer runs too, and try the 29er wheel set too. So they offer dropouts that for the 29er that are in 460 and 470. There's no short option with the 29er, but this long stay with the mullet rear wheel was pretty sick. It like initiated corners, still like you could feel the agility in a sense of the smaller wheel, and it was easier to throw around. But then yeah, the longer stays just give you that epic balance and position on the bike. So I was a fan. Yeah, stay tuned for more nerding. This is all part of gathering data for the full review, which I'll have coming in the coming weeks. Hit me up on Patreon. It'll pop up first on there, just like this video did. And there's always some good bonus content on there that I throw in with all these bikes. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.